When the Big Two struck, people got into cars and taxis, motorbikes and bicycles, and formed enormous lines to get out of the valley. They were stopped by the loyal army dais, carrying machine guns. The highways out of the city had been ruptured or blocked with debris or landslides, the loyal army dais said, so no one could leave. It was hard to see anything in the billowing, swooning dust. People only saw hardened, commandeering faces of the loyal army dais, and snouts of machine guns, and voices, shouting, scolding, haranguing, "Turn back! Back!" Small pandemonium broke out in the line, with people pushing, shoving, weeping, praying to their ancestors. A pillion rider on a motorbike was carrying a massive boombox on her shoulder. She turned up the volume of a Beatles song that penetrated the air, telling the good folks of Darkmotherland to get back to where they once belonged. 2 days after the Big Two, a small band of protesters wearing masks took to the streets, fighting the sandy grit in the air that got into their eyes, ears and mouths, shouting slogans about accountability and transparency. It was a small group, timid and furtive, as it made its way through the rubble that cluttered the lanes of the inner city. Their masks looked like they were borrowed from the set of a 1950s movie depicting space aliens. The residents of the surrounding houses, some of which were tottering and heaving, threw things at them. Small stones, bunched up paper, old dolls, water. When the group reached the Lion Palace, these masked men and women were apprehended and taken to an unknown location where they were beaten and tortured. Other protest groups in the days following faced similar fates. When the media tried to find out what had happened, the Rajya officials feigned ignorance. The media was also not its former self. A couple of high-profile newspapers simply stopped operating because the buildings in which they were housed had collapsed. A big TV station's owner died when he was buried in the rubble of his own home. The remaining media outlets, which began their operations in fits and starts, were now under the control of the Ministry of Communication. Blogs and podcasts were also monitored, or simply shut down. A popular fast-talking host of an FM talk program was replaced by a regime media official who spoke in a slow drawl. The Rajya changed its face. New people were announced as ministers, cabinet secretaries, and ambassadors. The new PM declared a state of emergency. All political activities were immediately banned, and the loyal army dais went to the offices of political parties and shut them down, putting big government padlocks on their doors. This happened within days of the Big Two, before the people had a chance to assess the damage that the earthquake had inflicted. Darkmotherland had a history of sweeping changes in the government every other year, so this was not unprecedented. It's natural, Motherland TV assured its citizens, for a new Rajya, filled with responsible adult Darkmotherlandites, to emerge at a time of such unfathomable tragedy.